start to see the nitty gritty. I like what James said, how nothing I really said in here isn't anything I never said really before. But the way I said it and how we put it all together brought context to what are we talking about when we say someone's innocent? Right? Because then you could have a conflict. How can I be innocent if I have sinned? Right? So what exactly does that mean, that I'm innocent, that I was declared innocent? What does that mean? What does that look like? But just the way the whole thing come together and seeing within the spirit of prophecy, this gives so much shape to what God come to do. Because we think God come to make us something we're not. But God called Adam his son in the beginning before he did anything. Right. And so it was about God needing to do something to strengthen man to overcome the accusation that they're not his.
Right.
Yeah. He needed to do something to where we could, through the righteousness of faith, receive strength to overcome the accusation of sin and death and the serpent and the world that says we're not the children of God. Right. There's a whole world system that says we're not.
Right.
There's a whole system of sin and death in the world that says we're not. John said in 1 John, he said that the world doesn't acknowledge us for what we are now.
That's right.
But we know that when we see him, we'll be the same as him. Yeah. Right? And so there's a whole system in the world that accuses mankind and says they're not the children of God. Right. And so we've kind of confused the gospel as being that we aren't, and now we're going to become. Right. But that's the same thing the serpent said to Eve before Eve ever fell. He come and told her she was not the image and likeness of God. She was not the child of God. Mm-hmm. But if she could use her ability, then she could become. Right? And so the gospel isn't about us becoming something we're not. The gospel is about we are the offspring of God. But there's something that's come into the world by one man, Adam, that stands opposed to man as the image and likeness of God. Now, we need strength to overcome the thing that stands opposed to us. Right. And so what is it that stands opposed to us? Death. Death is like the biggest moniker that it could accuse man and say, how can you be the children of God? Look at your body of death.
That's right.
And so death stands opposed to man appearing as the image and likeness of God. Mm-hmm. It levels an accusation. The serpent comes, he points at our death, and he says, you're not the children of God.
And so the man that doesn't die is the spiritual man. That's where that fruit comes from the Spirit. That's where our eternal life is, in the Spirit.
The Spirit of God, yes. And so we needed to receive strength to be able to overcome the accusation. Mm-hmm. And so that's what God did. And he declared mankind innocent of the accusation. And when he raised the representative, the human race, up from the grave, and then Jesus ascended to the right hand, what happened was the spirit of everything God did to destroy the accusation is then poured out on all flesh.
Yes.
Right? And then all those who will believe on the Son will find the Spirit of the Son dwelling in them, causing them to overcome the accusation. Even now, while we walk this earth, and eternally in the return of Christ. Because right now, the world tries to accuse us all the time. Right. It tries to come. I mean, when Jesus was tempted by the devil and said he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Listen, when you fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, you're dying. Yeah. Which was the point of him fasting. It wasn't so he could get some great power. It was so he, when he was tempted, could be standing in the face of death. Right? Which is the point of resisting the temptation. When death is at your door. Right. That's when you're really tempted to do something.
Exactly.
That's when you're tempted to use your ability and give yourself life. Adam ate from the tree. Boom, he was clothed in death. He was tempted to use his ability to give himself life. Right?
Yes.
So Jesus, man, he goes off to be tempted. And even in that, now I forgot where I was going with that. I guess it doesn't matter.
No, it's good. You said it now.